Welcome to PR After Hours, your weekly cocktail of news and interviews with leading thinkers in PR, marketing, and business. So pull up a chair in our virtual lounge. Your host, Alex Greenwood, will be right back after this.
Hey, it is Rick Lozano. I'm a keynote speaker, the author of Acoustic Leadership, Develop a Leadership Culture That Resonates, and a musician. And I love PR After Hours. Alex Greenwood hooks you up with some great advice to help you in your business as an entrepreneur. Listen in, PR After Hours rocks.
Just this week, I had a young man get in touch with me and ask me my advice on starting his career. He just got his college degree. He studied PR, communications, digital marketing, that sort of thing. And he is actually the son of a woman I've known for years back in another town. And we were good friends. And she had asked me a few weeks ago if he could call me sometime and ask my advice. And so he did call and ask, and he told me what he wanted to do. And he told me, actually, not only did he want to go into the field that I've been in for the past 30 years, but also he wanted to move to the city that I live in. And I was like, sure, let's talk. So I talked to him, and it really started me thinking a little bit about what people looking for that entry-level first job should be doing to get ready for that and to network and to find a job. And there's some great advice on rizdal.com. I'm going to put a link in the show notes, and I'll, of course, do what I always do, share their advice, and then I'll add in a little bit of my own, because I definitely have some more to add to it. But the first thing they suggest, if you're an entry-level PR professional and you want to help build your professional knowledge and make a good impression in your first career, work on improving your writing. Now, that could have been directly from me, right? I'm a big fan of, if you can't write well, you can't get messages across to people. You're going to have a very tough time in public relations and marketing if you can't communicate concepts and come up with catchy messaging. It's just that simple. So if you can't write, it's going to be hard, very hard for you, right? It's just an absolute staple of communications careers. And you can always be a better writer, Rizdal says this, which is why it's important to continue working on improving your writing skills. They say, learn new words, get a new word a day calendar or something. I'm serious. It is beneficial. Doesn't mean to go start using $10 words when a nickel word will do, but it does mean learning some vocabulary, understanding how words come together and how meanings and words can be fun. Like word play is great for marketing and PR. Trust me. They also suggest keeping up with AP style. Totally agree. And practice writing whenever you get a chance. When your boss gives you feedback, listen so you don't make the same mistake twice, okay? So make sure you write every chance you get and continue to write, and don't assume that, well, I know how to type, therefore I can write, because trust me, that doesn't always equate. Second advice from them is so true. Always build relationships. It's very true. Public relations is a relationship-driven industry. The power of relationships is infinite, whether it's collaborating with media, connecting with coworkers, or meeting industry peers. Having a connection with media means your story is more likely to get covered or at least looked at, right? Having camaraderie with coworkers means they're more likely to help you out when you get hit with a last-minute deadline. And meeting industry peers not only gives you support in your career, but it also opens the door to new opportunities, right? So it's a huge deal. They suggest joining the PRSA, Public Relations Society of America. I agree. Or the IABC, International Association of Business Communicators. I've been a member in good standing of both off and on throughout my career. I totally recommend that. It's a great way to keep up with people, network. I eventually got asked to speak at both groups at different meetings and things like that, which is always, of course, very beneficial as well to building my business and more. So definitely join your PRSA. Particularly if you're entry level, you're new, you could probably still get the student rate. Check it out. And if you want to join and you just don't have the cash, see if your employer will help you out a little bit, maybe pay half the fee, or at the very least get some buy-in from your employer and say, look, as long as you'll let me go to the meetings and not penalize me, so to speak, if you let me go to the monthly meetings and that kind of thing, I'd appreciate that. That kind of thing can be worked out because usually they're over the lunch hour, but they tend to go over. So get involved with those professional organizations. You'll meet new people and it'll always help you build your relationships. Of course, you can't just join these things and not go, or join these things and sit like a potted plant at the meeting. You got to interact with people. But if you're in PR, it's a reasonably good chance that you know how to do that. Their third piece of advice I totally agree with as well. Keep your drive to learn. The most successful people continue learning well after school is out. In fact, school is just the beginning. Frankly, I've always said this. School should teach you how to learn, and then life should give you the lessons. That's a little simplistic, but I think that's a good point. I mean, I'm always learning new things. There's a reason why I'm a dude in my 50s and I do podcasting. I mean, I've been doing them since before they were cool. I mean, but the point being, I'm always wanting to learn. I'm always an early adopter of most of the social media stuff. Again, that's an indication of me trying to find other means of communication to, one, increase my ability to do my job well, and two, to make me more valuable to clients and employers. So they suggest take advantage of the wealth of knowledge around you at your first job. So offer to take a senior level team member to lunch so you can ask how they got where they are and what advice they have. You know, it's funny. I just took a new position and it's a contract job, but basically it's on staff. And I just asked if I could shadow another managing editor. And they were like, absolutely. And that's going to help me learn the ropes so much quicker and also give me an ally when I'm trying to get things done at work, especially when you're new and you don't know all the ropes, right? So get to know people. Take somebody senior to lunch, or at least say, can we get a cup of coffee together in the break room? Or could I ask you about this? Or could I ask you about that? Most professionals would recognize what that is and help you with that as much as they can. Also, they suggest browse websites such as local marketing agencies, professional organizations, and industry trade outlets to explore new topics and hone your skills. The PR industry changes as quickly as technology advances. What I just say. So continued learning is essential to success. So, in sum, they say improving your writing, building relationships, and keeping your drive to learn will help you gain as much experience as you can in your first public relations career. So I just want to add to that, in dealing with this young man, I asked him straight up, I said, I'm happy to take your resume and I will do what I can to see if I can drum up some interest. So what I did, which is I think the easiest thing for me to do and probably the most chance of doing well, other than me actually calling a bunch of people on the phone, which I just frankly don't have time to do right now, is I got on LinkedIn and I said, I have a very great young man here. He's an Eagle Scout. He just graduated college. He wants an entry-level job here in the city in PR, media, et cetera, et cetera. I got lots of people commenting. I had one guy private message me and say, let me take a look at his resume. I sent the resume over, have no idea where it's going from there, but at least he did that. I had a couple other things and a lot of good suggestions. So I wrote the young man back and I just said, that's what's going on. And, I'll do what I can. If I hear anything, I'll let you know. But I just also said, you might want to get your LinkedIn set up. And I was a little disheartened by his answer because I've heard this from a lot of my interns in the past few years too. This generation seems to think LinkedIn is not all that useful, or they don't understand it or don't want to. I don't know. And he suggested that he just really didn't know anything about it. And I said, well, you have time to learn, don't you? And I suggest that to all people involved in business, particularly PR, get a LinkedIn account. It doesn't have to be a premium account. And, you don't have to put every little job you've had since your entry level, of course. I told him, put your education information on it, put what you want to do, put your skill set, and at least you have something, have a good picture, all that stuff. I've done plenty of episodes about how to do a good LinkedIn page, and there's plenty of guests we've had on who talk about it as well. I guess I should have suggested he listen to this podcast. Darn it, I missed a chance to do that. Oh, well. But I was a little disheartened to hear him say that. And again, I told him, well, you have time to do it now as you're looking for a job. And frankly, you don't have time not to. So I hope he will do that. I wished him well. And of course, I'll keep my ear to the ground for him and hope that he can find a job. The job market is great. And lots of people going back to work after the pandemic. So I think he's really, really got a good shot. So there we go. Those are my tips. If you are entry level or thinking about getting into PR from whatever level or whatever sector you're in, those are some good tips from Rizdal and from yours truly.
You know what that means? It's last call here at the Virtual Lounge. Be sure to visit prafterhours.com for links to what we discussed in this episode and more. Be sure to follow us wherever you get your podcasts. And join us next time for another round at PR After Hours with Alex Greenwood.